Welcome to January 18th, 2018, NCL Thursday Night Live. I'm Dan Manson, NCL Commissioner, and I'm really excited because we have a tremendous guest tonight, Bree Farrell from Southern New Hampshire University. And Bree has competed in the fall with what we believe, we don't have complete records, but what we believe is the first all-female NCL team. Bree, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So I really enjoy hearing backgrounds of those that play in NCL. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, what you were doing before NCL came along? Were you already technical, or what were you doing before?
Well, before NCL, before my first season, I had just started my undergrad program. I was a history major, and in about 3 terms into my program, I had locked myself out of my computer and managed to break in, for lack of better words, with a Linux bootable disk. And I immediately contacted my academic advisor, and I told her to change my major to cybersecurity. Shortly after that, I connected with Dr. Gwendolyn Britton, and we took it from there. I competed as a just regular competitor in the 2015, and after that, I moved on to captain teams.
Well, I want you to know you already have fans, because we're getting comments already from Charles and Zoe. They're giving shout outs to you. So it's really cool to have you on this show. But let's talk a little bit about your team, because Southern New Hampshire University is an online program. It's not where you all get together face to face. Right.
We're all remote. Our programs are totally remote. So of course my team was as well. It posed some challenges because we couldn't all be in the same room, but we leveraged the Slack platform a lot. And the one girl on our team also set up a TeamSpeak server for us to do voice and kind of work through challenges that way.
Very cool. So you had to get creative. How spread out was your team? Were you all in different parts of the country?
I believe we had a couple out west. I'm in Southwest Florida, and Christina, another girl on my team, is also, she lives about an hour away from me. And we have a bunch of girls in the New England area too.
So in terms of NCL experience, some of you have played NCL before and some of you just started in the fall. How did that work?
It worked out really well. The girls who I played NCL with in the past, we had all met each other in person too at the WESIS conference last year. And so we all knew each other really well, but we welcomed the newcomers in, and we helped them along where they needed help, but they actually did really well.
WESIS is Women in Cybersecurity. I think it's one of the best conferences anyone can go to. I've been to it a couple of times, and it's going to be in Chicago in March, and Caitlin Bestenheider, who's been on the show, is doing a workshop on her NCL journey. It's a way to bond, isn't it, to have a chance to go to a conference like that and find those with similar interests and be able to stay in touch?
Absolutely. I know, speaking for myself, I often feel like I'm an anomaly in the cybersecurity field, but it's quite empowering to be able to go to an all-women's conference. And it's kind of like, hey, it's not just me in this field. There's tons of other women, and we all build each other up to
what do you like about the SNHU program? How does that help you in terms of finding those with similar interests? Because it's amazing to me, you formed a team of 10 with a program that you had to really pull together from different areas. Tell me a little bit about SNHU.
Well, even though we're all spread out, we're fairly close. The administration is really, really supportive, and they try to facilitate bonds between students, even though we're all over. We have a platform that's similar to Facebook, but for Southern New Hampshire University students, where we all communicate and the NCL kids kind of conspire and try to recruit new members there. So it's
Very, very cool. And SNHU obviously enjoys seeing you participate in hands-on activities. Can you walk me through how you formed your team? So you had individuals. Were you looking for different skills? Were you looking for a certain type of chemistry? What was the process of forming that team? Did you look at their scores in the regular season, their scouting reports?
We didn't really go off of that. It was more of an interest-based. And we kind of lucked out because we had exactly 10 members on our women's team who were interested, including myself. So I believe we're doing the women's team again in the spring. And since the teams are smaller, we'll probably have several. So I'm really excited.
So you might have multiple all-female teams, and you'll end up competing against each other for SNHU.
Well, competition isn't a bad thing.
No, it is not. In terms of your favorite puzzles and some of the puzzles that your team members like, what is it that you really like to solve, and what is it that some of your teammates were doing?
I really love the cryptography section and the password cracking. Those are always a lot of fun for me. I love puzzles. We have Stephanie who loves log analysis. Let me think. There's a couple other girls who like cryptography. I believe Kayla enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. And Christina actually did really well with Wireshark and seemed to enjoy it, although she lacked confidence for a little bit.
I really believe that cybersecurity competitions have an advantage over a traditional class experience. In a traditional classroom, you're limited to what the teacher is going to cover, what's in the book, what you're expected to know for a test. And you're limited in terms of you're working with a certain number of students that have a certain level. But in a competition, we get to throw everything at you. You don't have to worry about the grade. It's not going to go on your transcript. It's not going to affect your GPA. Everyone gets the same level experience, and you have a chance in NCL playing season after season and watching your scouting report get better and better. Have you ever talked to your teammates about, is this more fun than a class you took, or how does it compare for you and them to the classes?
I hadn't really discussed it with my teammates. I know that we all had a lot of fun. For me, it's a lot better because it helps us with our analytical skills, our research skills. It's kind of a whole package as opposed to being in a classroom where sometimes you already know what you're doing. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. There was a lot of collaboration, and it was great.
Is there a certain amount of adrenaline that gets going when you're really working on a puzzle and you finally solve it? Is it a little bit like playing in an athletic competition?
It certainly is. There have been times where I've been sitting on the couch working on something for hours, and then I end up screaming because I solved it. And I know several of the other ladies, the same thing occurred for them. Very
cool. Now, you're working at Gartner. Can you tell us a little bit how, what you're doing at Gartner, and did NCL help in some way to give you confidence or prepare you for what you're doing now?
Absolutely. I'm in the research department at Gartner, so I have to go through a lot of, I have to read a lot of what clients want and what kind of dissect what they're actually needing help with from our research analysts. So NCL has helped a lot with that in understanding the terms that everyone's using, understanding the tools and being familiar with them. I come across a lot of requests and I'm like, oh, I know what that person's talking about. I could answer this. So it's interesting.
What about some of your teammates? Are they doing internships? Or are they looking at going into security? And are you kind of helping each other go down that road?
Yeah, I'm really strong, and we're cheerleaders for each other. So that's really cool. We have one girl who's Kayla, who's working at Harris. She's in the SOX position. And we also have another girl named Jillian who's working in Lincoln Labs. So it's very cool.
And do you ever have discussions among your team as to what it would be like in the security profession? And, you know, is NCL helping you to see what a security professional does?
Oh, absolutely. The two girls who are currently working in security, they found connection between their jobs and NCL. So that's really cool. And we fairly often discuss the security field and our careers.
What is different between playing as an individual and playing as a team? It sounds like you had a tremendous team experience, but the individual game is kind of designed to prepare you for the team game. What is it that playing as an individual does, and what advice do you have for those that are really new to this and are intimidated by the thought of having to do, you know, this by themselves before they can get to the team?
Well, for the individual competition, excuse me, for me, it's kind of stressful because I am more focused on my individual score. However, I do see where practice comes into play as for the individual games. The team competition it's a lot more fun because we can connect and collaborate. So that's great. Advice for newcomers, just don't be scared, dive in. It's not scary. Like you said, it's not going to affect the GPA. Give it a shot. And I'll admit, it is highly addictive.
It kind of is fun to see what you can do in a competition. When you first played, what was your first season?
It was fall of 2015.
So in fall of 15, how many classes had you taken in computing or security?
I want to say I hadn't taken any at that point, actually.
What made you decide to play NCL back then?
I wanted to challenge myself, basically. I knew that I didn't really have the skills, but I wanted to try. And I knew that NCL offered practice labs and it was a legal environment, so I wouldn't get in trouble. Mm-hmm. And so I dove in. I went for it.
And when you got your first scouting report, were you excited? Were you excited and unhappy? What were the emotions?
I was so proud of myself.
Very cool. What do you like about the scouting report?
I like that I'm able to see my growth over time. Mm-hmm. And I also like that I'm able to see the areas that I need to work on, because then it gives me something to do in my spare time.
Your coach at SNHU, how does your coach talk to you about playing the game? And does your coach ever try things like that themselves?
Absolutely. We've had a couple of different coaches now. They've been actively involved in webinars. They discuss competition with us, and they're just very engaged.
We just had a comment I have to read because it feels so good to read it, from Charles Tyler Frederick. NCL is a great way to know where you stand and what to focus on moving forward. It is a great program. You're also getting a bunch of Go Breeze and shout out. So it's very cool to see. But you have a question from Francisco. What was your first lab or starting point? Did you just dive in?
My first lab I did was, it was so long ago, I don't even recall. It was one of the very first ones, one of the easier ones from the Security Plus section, back when we had the older labs, the old style. It may have been setting up a firewall or something like that, something similar. But yeah, I pretty much dove in. You have to step out of your comfort zone.
I think that's one of the most important things to say about this, because if you're willing to play in a competition, you definitely at some point really feel out of your comfort zone. But I believe that the way we do it makes so much sense, because we try and stretch you, we try and stress you, We try and give you something that's realistic, but there's no downside that I see, because what I see students stress out at is worrying about their grades and their GPA and what goes on in a classroom. But it's kind of like saying, I want to, play something like soccer. And I know, the only way I get to learn how to go up and down the field and know how to handle the ball and know how to kick the ball and know how to defend is playing. But you're playing it, you're not feeling like you're taking a class. When you're in an NCL competition, do you feel like it's more of you're playing something rather than, having to be in a study mode?
Absolutely. I look forward to every single season of NCL. When there's some classes I don't necessarily look forward to. So it's really like a game, and it's kind of like a video game almost, is an analogy I can use, where you succeed at one level and you want to keep playing and keep doing more and keep succeeding. So it's really a lot of fun.
Once you know you can solve puzzles, you want to solve more.
Exactly.
Very cool. How did you work with your team? 10 is a large size for a team. How did you motivate your team? Did you have team meetings before the competitions? Did you have debriefs? What advice do you have for captaining a team?
Well, I would say to just try to keep everyone engaged. We didn't really have any formal team meetings. As I said, we were in Slack as a group. We had our own Slack channel set up, and we had TeamSpeak for emergencies. And we did hop on TeamSpeak several times to just kind of bounce ideas off of each other and work on challenges.
Did you have someone on the team that had never played before in the fall? That's my dog. So yeah, I heard yours.
I have two.
I apologize to the audience for my loud dog, but my wife just got home. She goes crazy. In terms of forming a team, do you want that mix of, you have some that were new and some that were experienced? Is that something that we should look for?
I think so. I think it's important to have experienced players with new players, because the new players can learn from the more experienced players. They can learn the format of NCL, and they can learn a lot. That's probably my favorite part about the team competition, is it's a learning experience. I've played several seasons, and I learn every season.
We are really excited about the spring season. As you know, we're adding more of the NCL Thursday Night Live. We're going to have coaches calls. We really want the coaches to feel like they're part of the NCL community. I want to thank you, Bree, for being on the show. You're going to get an NCL cap, but now we're going to have different colors. So I'll be asking you what color you prefer for your cap, and I look forward to sending it out to you. Look forward to seeing how you do it in the spring season and following you and your team in the future.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Bree. Bye-bye.
Thank you.